responds to emotional rhythm, to the push and pull, to the space between interactions. When you react too quickly, you collapse that space. You remove the silence that was making her think about you. You replace curiosity with certainty, and certainty kills the spark. But when you don't rush to fix it, when you notice her pulling back, and you simply hold your ground, something different happens. You maintain your pace. Your energy stays consistent. You don't chase her mood, and that's what creates tension. Because now she doesn't feel like she controls the situation anymore. She expected you to react, to chase, to prove, to try harder, but you didn't, and that breaks the pattern she's used to. Now she has to meet you where you are instead of you adjusting to her. That's where attraction starts rebuilding, not through effort, but through restraint, because the man who can hold back, who doesn't rush to fill every gap, is the one who feels the most in control. And control is what makes her lean back in. Attention feels powerful, but emotional control is what actually shifts how she sees you. Most men think attraction is built by doing more talking, more texting, more explaining, more proving. They believe if they just show enough interest, enough care, enough effort, she'll naturally move closer. But what really happens, the more you give without control, the less she feels. Because constant attention removes tension. And without tension, there's nothing for her to lean into. She won't explain this, but she feels it. When your attention is always available, always predictable, always there on demand, it loses weight. Not because it's not valuable, but because it's never at risk of being lost, and what isn't at risk isn't exciting. That's where emotional control changes everything. Emotional control isn't about being cold. It's about not being driven by every shift in her behavior. When she pulls back, you don't chase. When she gets warm, you don't lose yourself. When she becomes unpredictable, you stay grounded. And that steadiness creates contrast, because she's used to men reacting, used to men adjusting their behavior based on her mood, used to being the center of emotional movement. But when she meets someone who doesn't move so easily, she notices. There's a quiet strength in not overreacting, a presence in not needing to constantly prove yourself, a tension in not giving everything away at once, and that tension is what she feels, not your words, not your effort, your control, because control creates mystery. She starts wondering what you're thinking, why you're not reacting the way others do, why your attention feels different, more measured, more intentional. And that's where attraction deepens, not in what you give, but in what you hold back. Most men try to win her by increasing their presence. But the truth is, it's not about being more present. It's about being more composed, because when your emotions are stable, when your energy isn't easily shaken, she feels something rare, something she can't control. And what she can't control, she can't ignore. That's when her focus shifts. She starts paying closer attention. She invests more emotionally. She leans in, without even realizing why. Because for the first time, she's not dealing with a man who reacts to her. She's experiencing a man who responds on his own terms. And that difference, that's what makes your presence feel powerful. Mystery isn't about hiding who you are, it's about not revealing everything at once. Most men think being open, available, and fully transparent will bring her closer. They try to show everything: early thoughts, feelings, intentions, believing clarity builds attraction. But what actually happens, they remove the space where attraction grows. Because when she fully understands you too quickly, there's nothing left to discover. And without discovery, interest fades. She won't explain this, but she feels it. There's something about not fully figuring you out that keeps her Arabic, thou Arabic, ha Arabic, noon engaged. Not confusion, not mixed signals, but a sense that there's more beneath the surface, something she hasn't unlocked yet. And that feeling, that's what keeps her coming back. Most men overshare too early. They explain their feelings in detail. They make their intentions obvious. They remove every layer of uncertainty, and in doing that, they unintentionally make themselves predictable. Easy to read, easy to place, easy to move on from. But when you hold parts of yourself back, not in a fake way, but naturally, calmly, you create depth. You become someone she has to experience, not just understand. She starts noticing the gaps, the things you didn't say, the emotions you didn't fully show, the thoughts she can't quite read, and those gaps, they pull her in. Because now she's not just interacting with you, she's trying to figure you out, and that creates emotional investment. She pays more attention to your words. She analyzes your tone. She remembers small details, not because she has to, but because something about you feels just out of reach. And what feels just out of reach becomes magnetic. Most men try to keep her interested by doing more. But mystery works in the opposite direction. It's in what you don't say, what you don't reveal. What you allow her to feel without explaining it, because attraction lives in that space between knowing and not knowing. Too much clarity kills it, too much confusion breaks it, but that perfect middle ground, that's where she stays hooked. Where she keeps coming back, not for answers, but for the feeling you create, because she doesn't just want to understand you. She wants to experience you. And the moment she realizes there's more to you than what's visible, she stops losing interest and starts getting invested. The moment you stop proving yourself, something inside her shifts quietly but deeply, because most men are always trying to show their value. Through effort, attention, consistency, constant reassurance. They think if they just do enough, she'll see them. But what they don't realize is the more you try to prove your worth, the more it feels like you're asking for approval. And that changes everything. She won't explain this, but she feels it. When a man is constantly trying to impress her, it places her above him emotionally. She becomes the one evaluating, the one deciding, the one in control, and once she feels that control too strongly, she relaxes in the wrong way. Not into you, but away from you, because there's no challenge, no tension, no reason for her to invest. But when you stop proving, you remove that dynamic completely. Now you're not trying to win her. You're simply being yourself without needing validation. And that's unfamiliar to her because suddenly she doesn't know exactly where she stands. You're not chasing, not over-explaining, not trying to lock her in, and that creates a quiet uncertainty, not insecurity but curiosity. Why isn't he trying harder? Does he even need my approval? Why do I feel like I have to understand him now? That's the shift. Because now, she's the one leaning forward. She starts paying more attention to how you respond. She notices your tone, your timing, your energy. She becomes more aware of how she comes across to you, not because she planned it, but because your lack of need created space. Space for her to step in. Most men fill every gap with effort, but you didn't. You allowed that gap to exist. And in that space, she starts investing. She asks more questions. She gives more energy. She becomes slightly more expressive, more present. Because now, she feels like she has something to gain. Your attention isn't automatic anymore. It feels earned. And what feels earned always feels more valuable. That's when attraction flips, not because you did something extreme, but because you stopped doing what everyone else does. You stopped proving, and the moment you stopped trying to show her your value, she started trying to feel it. And once she starts feeling it, she doesn't want to lose it. The less reactive you are, the more she starts to feel you. Not on the surface, but deeper, where it actually matters. Because most men are predictable in one specific way, they react instantly. To her texts, her tone, her mood, her distance. If she's warm, they get excited. If she pulls back, they get anxious. If she's unclear, they try to clarify everything. And without realizing it, they hand over control. She won't explain this, but she feels it. Every time your behavior shifts based on hers, it tells her one thing: you're emotionally tied to her reactions. And once she feels that there's no tension left, because she already knows what you'll do next. But when you're not reactive, when her mood changes and yours doesn't immediately follow, when she delays, and you don't rush, when she tests the energy and you stay steady, something different happens. You become harder to read, not confusing, just not easily influenced, and that creates a quiet pressure on her side. Now, she can't predict you the same way. She can't control the emotional direction of the interaction. And that loss of control, it pulls her in, because now she has to pay attention. She starts noticing your patterns, your timing, your responses, or even your lack of them. She begins to wonder what you're thinking, why you're not reacting like others, what it actually takes to move you. And that curiosity turns into emotional investment, not because you tried harder, but because you didn't react instantly. Most men think reacting quickly shows interest, but in reality it shows dependence, and dependence reduces attraction, because it removes the challenge. But when your reactions are measured, when you take your time, when you don't let every small shift affect you, you create emotional weight. Your words feel more intentional. Your presence feels more grounded. Your attention feels more valuable. Because it's not automatic, and that's what she feels. Not just what you say, but the space between your actions. That calm, controlled energy, that sense that you're not easily moved. It creates tension she can't ignore. Because for the first time, she's not dealing with someone she can influence instantly. She's experiencing someone she has to understand. And the more she tries to understand you, the more she gets pulled in.